Hey guys, welcome to Whiskey and Literature. I'm your host, Captain Mike, and I'm excited because tonight it's whiskey. This is one of my favorite distilleries for rye whiskeys, Whistlepig. And this is an interesting bottle in that I bought it for a specific purpose, but then I bought another bottle for that purpose, and so this bottle was left with no purpose. I'm a Teamster, union shop, and we've been in contract negotiations for a couple of years. End of 2022, I was talking to a coworker and we were discussing the idea of a contract bottle, in the sense that when our contract comes through for work, you have a bottle that's not an ordinary bottle. You have a nice bottle that, depending on the contract, you either celebrate with that bottle or you drown your sorrows with it. So initially I wanted the Boss Hog and I couldn't find one anywhere, so I settled for a Whistlepig 18. Then of course a couple weeks later I came across the Boss Hog 9. I picked that up. It became the contract bottle. I have since, because negotiations have drug on so long, I've also picked up Boss Hog 10. So when do you open a $400 bottle of whiskey? I don't just do it willy-nilly. I have thousands of dollars worth of whiskey at my house now, though only several of my bottles are in the $400 plus range. And it's just not something I open on a regular basis. So what kind of special occasion would you open a Whistlepig 18 or this level of a whiskey? We recently put our Airbnb on the market, just kind of tired with dealing with that hassle. And I told our realtors that if they could sell it, we would celebrate and open up the bottle of Whistlepig 18 with them and have a good time. And so they sold it and I opened it. Unfortunately, I've had a lot of scheduling conflicts, or they've had scheduling conflicts with me, and we've been unable to get together and actually share the Whistlepig 18. But I've had a couple pours of it and I thought tonight would be another good night to celebrate with it. And by celebrate, I mean we're just having a slight celebration here tonight. And I should have done this video a couple of videos ago. I didn't realize that I had uploaded my 200th video to YouTube until I had already also uploaded my 201st video to YouTube. So by the time I upload this Whistlepig video, it'll probably be my 204th or 205th video. But I just wanted to open this tonight. I mean, it's already open. I want to have a pour of this tonight to just thank all of you guys out there. First of all, thank my wife, Mrs. Captain, for putting up with me for this past year and a half since I thought about starting this YouTube channel. And then all of you out there who have watched the videos, liked the video, subscribed to the channel, made comments on the video, whether they were great comments or whether they were not so great comments, but perhaps comments about things that I could have done better, and I've tried to take those to heart when they've been, I think, constructive and useful to me. But I appreciate all the interaction that I've had, and it's been a great time. I think all those guests that I've had through the year and a half of the channel, my family members, I've had some friends, and some, it's been a really good time, and I appreciate all of that, and I'm really looking forward to what's coming next in the next year and a half and years on the channel. Anyway, Whistlepig 18, cheers to you. Wow. What a whiskey. But let's get to the specs and stats like we always do on this Whistlepig 18 and then get it. First of all, the packaging on the Whistlepig 18, it is premium. It looks super nice. It's a great looking little box here, a little slider box. I'll just take this out. I'm just gonna set this aside. Nice packaging. I like the gold leaf on it. Lots of information on it. Third edition of the Whistlepig 18. Nice little setup here. I think it looks really great here in the box. I don't typically keep it in here, but I have. It comes with this cork top. If I can get this out of here without breaking it. They call these glass toppers or stoppers bespoke, in the sense that they are hand stamped individually, kind of bespoke, little subtle differences between this one and every one. So that's kind of cool. And I think once you've opened it, you can go ahead and take this cork off and then close it with this glass stopper. Now it does have some silicone on there, and I've seen a couple comments on the interwebs. The guy is complaining that it's just not fully glass, instead it has this silicone stopper on it, and it doesn't even close extremely tightly, but I think it looks, it definitely looks like a premium bottle of whiskey. I think the bottle shape itself is really nice. They call it a decanter style bottle. The shape is fairly reminiscent of other Whistlepig bottles. It's just kind of beefier and premiumer, more premium, if you will, than the other Whistlepig bottles. I think it's a great looking package, and looks great on my shelf. So overall, I think the old presentation, it is a $400 presentation. But is it a $400 whiskey? That's really the question. I mean, it looks great, but does it taste as good as it looks? So let's talk about the whiskey and then get it. So this says a lot of information on the bottle and on the box as well. Double malt Whistlepig 18. What does double malt mean? Honestly, nothing. Double malt is not an industry term. It really has no significance. You could almost say it means kind of like small batch. Small batch has really no defined meaning, just more than one barrel and less than a regular batch. So I think in this case, perhaps it's referring to the fact that there is malted rye and malted barley in this bottle. The mash bill in here is 79% rye, 15% malted rye, and 6% malted barley. Bottled at 92 proof. I don't know if you're aware of this, but almost all Whistlepig rye is Canadian rye. Now, Whistlepig has started putting out one of their 6-year piggyback rye. If you look on the back of it now, there is a Vermont component to the Whistlepig piggyback rye. There is still some Canadian in there as well, but I'm glad to see they are starting to get their own distillates in the bottle. And there's going to be a review coming up pretty quick of the 6-year fully Canadian piggyback and the Vermont and Canadian piggyback, because I think that should be an interesting head-to-head. Of course, this has been aged 18 years, or a minimum of 18 years. And like I mentioned earlier, this is the 3rd edition of the Whistlepig 18. So if you go out and you buy the 4th iteration, the 4th edition, you'll notice that it is not only a straight rye, but it has been finished in PX sherry casks. So I think that's pretty interesting. Price might stop me from going out and getting one of those, but I am pretty intrigued by that sherry finished 4th edition Whistlepig 18. So if you've had that, I'd be interested in what you think about that bottle. And I'm definitely interested in your thoughts if you've had that sherry finished and you've also had one of the previous editions that was not sherry finished. I paid $399.99 for this bottle, which, as far as I can tell, that's the MSRP. It is fairly available. I see it sitting on the shelves regularly, though sometimes I go into the stores and there's none, and then I go back in and there's some more. So I know it's stocked on a regular basis, and I think it's, so if you want to pick one up, I really think they're out there, not any problem. But it makes sense, right? It's a 18-year Canadian rye for $400. So I'm not surprised that it sits on the shelf a little bit longer, perhaps, than most other bottles. I would even say that it sits on the shelf a little bit longer, say, than the Boss Hog. The Boss Hog is a little more allocated, and even though the price is 50% higher, it's $600. And so, but those really go off the shelf as almost fast as they can put them on there. Okay, that's enough talking. Let's get to it. Like, honestly, I'm interested, so I probably had 300 bottles plus at my house now, and very few of them rise to this level of price. And I'm always curious, what do you open bottles like this for? Selling an Airbnb, I think that was a nice reason to open it. I've had it on my shelf for a year and a half. I think it was time to get that open. I'm committed to not opening the Boss Hogs until that contract comes through. But do you have any bottles? I mean, I see them all the time at Total Wine and Lucan's, the other stores I go to. But man, I have a hard time pulling the trigger on that price level. Plus, there's so many bottles out there that, $100, certainly at the $200 range, that it's really hard for me to justify $400 for a bottle of whiskey. Anyway, let's get it. Like I said, enough talking. This has been sitting out for probably 20-25 minutes. When I had a glass of this a little earlier today as well. And really on the nose, I was hoping that having this sit out for a while would alleviate this note on the nose a little bit, but it's not. I'm man enough to admit that Mrs. Captain and I went out recently and got pedicures. And you walk into that nail salon, and that's one of the notes that I'm getting on the nose of this. It's kind of a nail polish, chemically industrial, chemically nail salon, nail polish type note. And if you're really interested, blue. That's the color. But that is the initial note that I really get. It is not really unpleasant. It's probably not what you expect when you're first nosing a whiskey, but there's no question that that's really what I'm getting. I think it's a great looking whiskey. It's a nice color. I mean, it's 18 years old, so I think it has some depth to it. A little bit of alcohol in the nose. Still just has that kind of chemical nail polish note. Maybe a hint of pine needles underneath that. Maybe it's been just sitting here. I haven't been swirling it. I just poured it in here, then went in and was finished typing this and talking to Mrs. Captain. So now I'm just kind of agitating and swirling. That note's kind of dissipating. Again, that pine needles, apples, cinnamon. Still a thread of that nail polish kind of just through there. Again, not unpleasant. Pine needles, apples, cinnamon, a little bit of alcohol. It is pleasant despite the nail polish. Anyway, here we go. Cheers. It's warming, an initial burst of spice, followed by some sweetness. There's none of that chemical note on the palate. None of that. It doesn't taste like I'm drinking nail polish at all. That was definitely a note on the nose, but on the palate, just some initial warmth, then some spice, followed by some sweetness. Definitely rich on the rye spice, some rye bread. It's got that malted component to the rye and the barley, and I think it's just kind of rounding out that note, that rye note. Cinnamon, just cinnamon for days. It's oaky, it's nice and viscous, it's oily, it's astringent, it's all of those things. It doesn't have a lot of that, perhaps some of that grassy. There's a little bit of floral notes in there as well, just kind of rounding that out. It's 92 proof. I don't think I actually mentioned that, sorry. It's 92 proof, which I think is a decent proof, but I think it's hurt a little bit by lack of more proof. That would just have a greater mouthfeel and some more body to it, I think. I definitely think the 92 proof is nice, but I think it could use some more oomph, if you will, in that palate. Just a little more kick, a little more excitement. I mean, it's an 18-year-old rye. So maybe when you're drinking an 18-year-old rye, you are not looking for that oomph. In fact, if you want that oomph, pick up the 10-year-old Whistlepig. I mean, the 6-year-old is full of oomph. It's just a whole different animal than this. The 18-year-old, it is silky smooth, and maybe that's what you're looking for in this style of a whiskey. It's definitely a sipping whiskey. You can enjoy it. You're not going to mix anything with it. You're not going to put it over ice. I mean, you're just going to enjoy it. It's only 92 proof, so you're definitely not going to put it over anything or put anything in it. You're just going to enjoy it, and I think it's built for that. Just, I don't think it's a long finish. It's just kind of a medium warming finish, full of spice and cinnamon. It's leaving me slightly dry, and it's a bit astringent, so, which I don't mind. I think I enjoy that. I enjoy every portion of this. Now, do I think it's a $400 whiskey? No. I mean, I don't. I think it looks great on the shelf. I think the presentation is worthy of $400. But I don't know what a $400 whiskey really tastes like. Like, what's it supposed to taste like to blow you away? I mean, I'm enjoying this like I enjoy perhaps the Middleton Very Rare. It's in the 250 to 270 range, and it's a nice sipper. It's just kind of, you can relax with it and enjoy it. You're not blowing yourself away. It's just sipping that for days and enjoying that silky smoothness. And that's the way this is. But $400? I really can't recommend you pick this up for $400. I mean, if you have a special occasion coming up, an anniversary, and your wife or partner enjoys a nice rye whiskey, and it's a very, very special occasion, by all means, pick up something like this. Your realtor likes whiskey and he sells your house for a nice profit, buy him a bottle of this, like $400. If you made a really nice profit, why not? You have an employee that just made you a crap ton of money last year, or you got a big, huge bonus or raise and you want to, thank somebody. Your son just got a big promotion at work or something like that. Okay, and that person you're giving this to enjoys a nice pour of whiskey. There we go. But, I mean, to have this at the house to sip on occasionally, like it's not a Friday night pour. It's a special occasion pour, certainly. Impress your guest pour, certainly. I mean, though some people would be like, oh, you spent $400 for that? I mean, it doesn't really impress some people. I do think it's a really nice pour, $400. I don't know how you can justify that. I mean, I did pay more than that for the 15. And we had a pour of this. Mrs. Captain had these blind tonight, and she preferred the 15. And I can't say that I don't prefer the 15 as well. It's just a different animal. Honestly, only 3 years, but there is a huge difference between the 15 and this. And some of that's the proof. Well, no, this is only 92, but it does drink quite a bit hotter than that. Well, I feel like I'm rambling now. Whistlepig 18, justified? I don't think so. Am I glad I have it? I bought it for a purpose, and now I'm just gonna pull it out at special times and enjoy it for what it is. And I mentioned I might pick up that sherry, but I don't think I can justify picking up that sherry Whistlepig 18 for $400. So that's gonna be a pass for me, unless someone out there has had that and just blew them away compared to other sherry finished whiskeys. If it has, let me know. I'm interested in that. But for now, I'm glad I had this, and I'll get it out for those special times with special people. But I'm not gonna rebuy the Whistlepig 18. So that's it, guys. But regardless, I'm happy to have this tonight to essentially thank my viewers and my family and everyone who supported me for the past year and a half. And like I always say, if you've enjoyed the video, like it, subscribe to see more of my content. I do both books and whiskey reviews. But for now, my friends, you know what to do. I hope you're reading something good and drinking something great. Turn this page and stay thirsty.